The following podcast is provided by Era Living, innovator in residential retirement options since 1987. And welcome everyone to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And we are back again with Mallory Mixdorf, who is the Era Living Resident Family Supportive Programs Director. That's a big title, girlfriend.
It is. It's a mouthful.
Basically, you are a master's degree in licensed social work, and having your role is a big part of what makes Era Living who they are. You guys spend a lot of time in wellness and making sure people have a good foundational sense of well-being. And I think that's the important thing. Tell us a little bit, when you say resident and family support programs, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's basically what it sounds like. So we provide mental health and support services to all of our residents and as well as their families as much as needed. So as residents transition into our communities, or even if they've been there for a long time and are facing other life transitions, all of our communities have a licensed mental health professional to help that resident or their families navigate those changes.
Yeah.
Which is something that's really unique to Era Living.
Well, it is, because I remember when my mom moved into senior living, her first, experience, she was angry with me, the daughter.
Yeah.
That's very common, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's before she really got acclimated. And I always am grateful because we were able to get with a counselor, but it was not part of the community, right? And, but it helped us. And really what was coming from her is she didn't want to burden me. And she didn't want to be, and I was going like, why are you so cranky and angry with me? I'm trying to do the right thing. And in actuality, I was like, that wasn't a burden at all. And we had to really talk it through. I'm sure we're pretty much common. That goes on a lot, does it not?
It does. There's a lot of feelings that happen when families move. On the resident side, the one who's actually moving in. On the family side, maybe it's siblings or their kids, their adult kids that are, facilitating the transition for them. And maybe it's before the resident feels ready or is willing to admit that maybe they need a change. And anger is usually one of the first emotions that bubbles up. Or feeling betrayed too.
And it's a cover for fear. And that's the thing that I remember, my mom did not want to burden me. And she realized that now she was, quote unquote, stuck with this situation. That was how she viewed it. And I was going, Mom, for the first time in my life, I get to have you all to myself. I mean, this is a big deal for me. This is a gift to me. And she kind of looked at me like, really? So it was interesting that I had to learn to work with her in another way. And I think the other thing is families don't necessarily know how to work in the best way to be supportive of their loved ones through this time. And I'm sure you're finding that with, like you talked about, siblings. So tell us a little bit about how that works with Era Living and how you work through that process.
Absolutely. So once the resident, goes through their intake with our community relations team and our wellness team, and they're ready to move in, our counselors will make an effort to meet with the residents pretty shortly after they move in. So whether it's a formal meeting or informal, it depends on the counselor's approach and the community's culture. But we really try to sit down with those residents and learn about what makes them tick and validate their feelings. A lot of times it wasn't their first choice to move. And so listening to them and just, again, validating that experience. On the other end of the spectrum, there's residents who come in really ready to go. They're so excited about this change. They're ready to let go of the responsibilities. They're ready to fill their day with enriching activities, have someone cook for them, meet folks that are just down the hall, are ready for these wraparound services. So then the counselors and those aspects can kind of help introduce them to more of the programming. As a liaison for the community.
And I'm assuming if couples come in, sometimes one couple is gung ho and the other one's kind of like, I'm not so sure about this. That happens a lot too, does it not?
Yeah. I mean, the couples are a family unit, but they're two individuals. And so
absolutely,
they may have very different approaches and perspectives on what's going on.
Mhm.
And so that's another great thing that the counselors can do is, again, provide that space to listen and provide space for the residents to receive counseling as a family if
Mhm.
necessary to help navigate those
Yeah.
changes or the rifts that maybe are growing in the different perspectives can
Mhm.
cause some strain in a relationship. So
Mhm.
the counselors are really there to help navigate and mitigate
That's
that.
awesome. So when a family meets with a counselor, what happens in that process?
Lots of different things. I mean, really, it's a lot of times as the family is just kind of wrapping their head around the fact that this person is available to them. Like you
Mhm.
said, in your experience, that wasn't an option. You had to go outside.
I had to
And
go
so,
outside. Mhm.
yeah. And so I think families are just learning about what the counselors do, what their role is, and how they can help, and what resources they can provide. So a lot of times it's just a learning process for the families to help support their loved ones
Mhm.
best. And
Mhm.
then a lot of times encouraging their loved ones to use the
Mhm.
services that the counselors
Yeah.
provide.
Yeah. Well, and I can only think about a care giver, family caregiver,
Yeah.
how overwhelmed they may have felt before this time, and now they're trying to. I remember them telling me when it was time to my mom. They said, "I don't want you to come back for a week. Your mom needs to adjust to the
Yeah.
community," and it was hard for me to let go.
Yeah.
I mean that is very common as well, is it not?
It is, it is. And something that's really special about our counselors is that we provide support groups for residents. And
Awesome.
their families are welcome to attend the support groups, but the focus is on the residents.
Right.
And one of our support groups is actually a caregiver support group. So for a lot of those couples that come in,
Oh, wonderful.
oftentimes one of the pair is the caregiver. So they
Mhm.
can take the space away from the one that they care for,
Sure.
sit with like-minded folks and peers who are in a similar situation. They can learn from each other, they can talk, they can share stories in a space that feels safe.
And, being able to know that you have a voice, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's like, when you talk, you guys talk a lot about like your life enrichment programs. You
Mm,
meet with the residents and you ask them what they want to experience. They have a voice.
yes.
And I think this is really amazing. And that's part of, the ability that you have because you are locally owned and you're managed and you have, this footprint of, although you serve King County very well, you able to do these things because you have the ability to, mobilize. And I think that's one of the things that really makes you unique. It's that intimate experience of
Right.
knowing that wherever I am, I'm heard.
Yeah.
And that's an emotional need that's so valuable.
It
So
is.
tell us a little bit, Mallory, about when you meet with the family. Obviously, is this they can access your service anytime, pretty much, or do they have a
Yeah. So the counselors are available during business hours at our
Mhm.
communities.
Mhm.
But if families are looking for more of like a wraparound service that can provide
Yeah.
extra support, we do have a program called Almost Like Family. And
That's
it's
what I was gonna ask you.
yeah, I'm happy to talk all about it. I love this program.
Okay, tell
So
me about it.
so it is an ancillary service that we do offer residents and families who are interested in something like this. It's a case management program where residents or families can sign up and receive. There's two prongs really to the program. One is companionship visits. So for
Mhm.
residents who's maybe their families, there's a number of reasons why they may need companionship visits. Maybe their families live far away, they're busy. Our culture is very go, go, go. We don't always have
Yep.
time for our families the way maybe we did decades ago. And so
Mm.
for residents who need that extra support to prevent isolation, which is, I'm sure you've heard is an epidemic in the senior population. So
Yeah.
to provide the service where we have staff who are dedicated solely to this role
Yeah.
come in and spend time with residents and just engage them in things that bring those residents joy, whether it's talking about their past, going on walks,
Mhm.
joining the life enrichment activities together, kind of pulling them out of their apartments, getting them more
Mhm.
engaged in the community.
Yeah.
So that's the companionship aspect. The other aspect is the medical escorts. So for residents who may need help getting to and from doctor's appointments, don't always know how to navigate the medical system, or for times when they, God forbid, have to go to the emergency department, we have someone on call 24/7 to help get them to their medical appointments, meet them at the hospital should they have a fall or some
Mm-hmm.
other medical
Mm-hmm.
emergency, especially in those times when families aren't available at the drop of a hat to
Right.
drive an hour or two to the hospital.
True.
Yeah.
True. Well, and really having somebody that can help ask the questions or, help facilitate things like that. And also, I know when I would leave a doctor's appointment, my mom would say, the doctor said this, I don't understand what that meant.
Yeah.
So having someone to be there with you through that process means everything. And it also helps, obviously, in the care overall, the well-being physically as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. There have been studies that have shown that there's significant improvements in residents' quality of life if they are engaged in programs like this, like you said, where they do have a better understanding of what actually happened in that doctor's appointment, follow up, helping them schedule for follow up, helping them understand, take notes for them, communicate to the family so the families are in the loop, and just making sure they get to and from. A lot of times residents don't have cars. They don't know how to use Uber. And so we're there to help them get to and from so they don't have to worry about that aspect.
Yeah. And, that's so important. And I know that, we may think as family members, we don't even realize that the staff is here for us as well. And I think that's the thing that is so important, that you guys are here to support the entire well-being of the family. And that's something that's really amazing. So how do we reach Era Living?
Great question. There's a number of ways, but I would say the easiest two are to visit us at our website, which is www.eraliving.com, eraliving.com, or you can follow us on Facebook.
Well, I'm very excited to have you, Mallory. And Era Living, everyone, has 8 communities in Greater King County. Most of them are in just really close to, if you live in King County, you have a place to go. And these podcasts are for you. If you've ever wondered anything about senior living, this is going to be an amazing process as we explore different aspects behind the scenes and also coming forward of what to expect. And so we're very excited to have you, Mallory, to explain a lot more about the process. Thank you so much for being on the show. Era Living is locally owned and operates 8 premier retirement communities in Seattle, Renton, Mercer Island, Bellevue, and Issaquah. From vibrant, independent living to compassionate assisted living to secure memory care, Era Living respects and honors older adults by enhancing the quality of their lives. Learn more at eraliving.com.